All right, Catherine, you got my message, right, about the file, about the variable? Catherine, no, maybe?
Yes, Jorge, sorry, say that again.
That's all right. Yeah, I had forgotten about that, and so, but as soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. So, um,
Okay, so what do I have to do to change those? So I just go in there and just change those figures back to what they were and continue, or leave them at zeros?
so you're not going to do the quantitative um, analyzing on that one because it's a qualitative variable. So what happened was when you created those categories.
Yes.
So you basically created mutually exclusive categories, which makes it qualitative. So then what you're going to do is the same thing that you did for gender and race and what's the other one, education, and the questions that you asked, you're going to analyze those the same way. So no need to build out that huge table. So the reason why that table was like that was because it really didn't recognize the categories that you created. That's all it was.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
So yeah, so just the same as a qualitative variable, and then you'll be fine with that.
Okay, thank you for that, Jorge.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was looking at one of my questions related to the topic I chose, and every single participant chose one answer. Now, I felt kind of silly making a frequency table, the bar graph, with just, one bar. So I didn't know if you wanted us to include the other options regardless, just to see that out of the other options, that one was chosen the most, or if you really just wanted to see 100% of all the participants choosing that one answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't do. I wouldn't create a bar graph or even a table for that one. So what you can do is when you start describing that variable in particular, just basically, you can list if you want the other choices that were available for the participants. But if no one chose that, some of the other ones, there's no need to graph it. Just, do you mind me asking what question was it and what were the choices?
It was, hold on. Right now, which one of the following do you think should be the more important priority for addressing America's energy supply? And one of the choices was developing alternative sources such as wind, solar, and hydrogen technology. The second one was expanding exploration and production of oil, coal, and natural gas. And the third was no answer.
Okay, so I'm guessing they chose the alternative one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just yeah, don't create a table or anything like that because that would be useless because basically you have all the information right there. One of the things that you might be able to do is sort of bring in maybe another source to say that, on average, most people would say, find an alternative source of energy, if you will, as opposed to opening up exploration.
Okay, so as long as I describe it as like everybody chose this one, you don't want me to include a table or a bar graph or anything?
No, because I mean, it's just like you said, it's just going to be one bar. So it doesn't, the only thing it tells you is that 100% of participants chose that response. Well, you can just tell me that when you write it out. I don't have to see a bar graph for that.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions or anything about part 3?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So on the sample paper, some of the like questions for like gender had like, for example, they had like separated out frequency distribution and relative frequency distribution, but then some of them like education had them together. So what do you prefer for it to be?
So the way that I've done it in the Excel file that I've been working on, I've had them together. And I think in some of the Word documents that I uploaded where I copy and pasted some of those tables and things like that, I also think that I've had them together. So I would just leave them together. I'm going to open up the Excel file here real quick so I can show you what I mean by that. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick so you guys can see it. So this table right here obviously has the frequency in the middle row, and then the last row is the relative frequency. So you can just do the table like this if you want to. Would having both of those there would be okay. That way you don't have to have multiple tables and things like that. So if you want to do it that way, it's fine. If you want to separate them, so one of the things that I've tried to do is sort of reduce the amount of things that you have to do for the qualitative. So you're welcome to either include the table or include the bar graph if you want. You're more than welcome to include both of them if you like, but I'm okay with you just including one or the other. Now, when it comes to the quantitative variables, that's where you have to have all three, right? So you have to have the histogram, you have to have the ogive, and then the frequency distribution table. Did that answer your question about the graphs and stuff?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions or anything? Does anybody need to see how to do any of the graphs? Huh?
I have a question, Jorge.
Yeah.
I know we have to submit part 3 on Friday. So can you just go over the bits that we need to submit on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So just real quick, I'm gonna share my Excel file here real quick because I want to emphasize on the variables, right? So if you see here, every single one of these columns is a variable. And so if you go through your raw data, you have to make sure that if you have, 10 columns, 11 columns or whatever, that means that if you have 10 columns, that means you have 10 variables. So then each one of those variables should be included in your description of the variables. So don't leave any of them out. Now, one thing about the sample paper is that the sample paper is more of a template. It's more of a, this is what it should look like rather than this is all that you need to have on there, because it's obviously missing parts and pieces. And the reason, when Ann and I worked on it, the reason we did it that way is because, we just sort of, we didn't want you guys to sort of say, oh, I have to have all these little bits and pieces when you might not have the same type of questions, right? And then you get afraid that, oh my gosh, I didn't ask the religion question, but she did, and that type of thing. So it's more of if you do a table, this is what it should look like. If you write your paragraph, this is what it should look like. If you have your headings, this is what they should look like. Your running head, this is what it should look like. Your references page, this is what it should look like. And then your in-text citations. So that's what the sample paper does. But going back to what you should need to include, so every single column is a variable, which means that at a minimum for the qualitative variables, I'm going to need either a bar graph or a table if you want. The question before was, do you want a relative and a frequency? You don't have to give me both of them. If you give me the table with the frequency and the relative frequency, then that's okay. If you give me a bar graph with the frequency, that's also okay. If you give me a bar graph with just the frequency, then I would probably say in the writing that you have, talk about some of the percentages or the proportions, right? So if my, I think race, I had 84% my participants identify as being white. So if I only include, this table right here and not the last row, then maybe in my writing, I would say, 52 or 84% of my participants, the participants identified as white. So you don't necessarily have to have that as long as you're able to write it out in your paper. The other thing is, when you describe your variables, you're literally doing this objectively. And so that means that you're just telling me what's happening with the variables. You're only describing them. If you decide, like I think Sarah was the one that said that everybody chose the one response. if you get something like that, then you might want to bring something from the outside that sort of reinforces that result to say that the majority of adult Americans prefer us to develop alternative forms of energy as opposed to, opening up pristine, land to dig for oil or, whatever it is that they call it. And so, if she brings something from the outside, it has to be peer reviewed, then that would be completely acceptable because, she's just sort of reinforcing what she got. The only thing that I would say, and going back to Sarah and the question is, I wouldn't say something like, well, it makes sense that they chose this because most people don't want to destroy new land. Okay, fine, but where's the source, right? Because if she writes that, then that's basically her opinion. And so we want to sort of stay away from opinions. We want to have something, if I make a statement, I want to have some justification, some evidence for that statement that I made. And so that's why you don't want any opinions. So everything that you do in this section is subjectively. So just, it is what it is. Just tell me what you got. And if you want to add something, you're welcome to add something, but just make sure you have an outside source that sort of backs up what you said. The next thing that you have to have is in the sample paper, unfortunately, we have the EDA, which is the graphs and the tables, and we have the descriptive stats sort of separate, but you guys are putting that together into part 3. And so you have to make sure that you have an introduction to that section. And it's just a quick, basically an introduction is, this is what I have and this is what I'm going to do. And that's it. And then jump into the first variable, include a table, talk about that, basically describe the variable, go to the next variable, do the same thing, and then do every single variable. And then at the end, make sure that you have a conclusion to that section. And so the other thing that you want to do is, since you're going to be talking about your survey results, make sure that you cite the survey results. The other thing that you can do, if you want to, is you can start comparing the national poll to your survey. So in other words, let's say Sarah, the national poll for that particular question, it was, 82% of participants said that they want alternative fuel, to develop alternative fuel. So then that's something that she can compare without sort of saying, they're statistically different or something, because believe it or not, we don't know if that's the case, right? And I just made up the 81% or whatever it is, what I said. But she can't say, oh, they're different, because we don't know, right? Even 100%, 81%, statistically speaking, they might not be different. So she might not have enough evidence per se to say, yeah, it's different than 81% or something like that. So you can compare the results of the national poll to your survey. Now, the only thing that I would compare would be the questions that you copied. And the reason being is because when we get into hypotheses testing, that's what we're going to do. You don't have to do that though. It's not required. It's just a nice, it sort of gets you in the mindset of saying, eventually I'm going to compare this in a statistical manner to determine whether or not, statistically speaking, they're the same or not the same. So that's sort of a good way for you to kind of get started thinking about that comparison. Not just a comparison of 100% to 81%, but a testing to compare if they're statistically different or not. Did that answer your question, Catherine? I don't know if I missed anything.
That was fine. I'm gonna have to go back and look at. I think I got one more video to watch anyways to catch up. So.
Okay.
Fine. Thank you.
That's fine. You're welcome. So, are there any questions as far as part 3? I feel kind of hesitant to continue moving on to the probability, simply because part 3 is due on Friday. And so I just want to make sure that I answer any questions, address any concerns that you guys might have concerning part 3. Catherine asked about the format a little bit. Make sure that you make the corrections from part 2. So whatever you missed in part 2, make sure that you make those corrections when you write part 3. And then once you make those corrections, I'll go back to part 2 and put those points in. But if you don't make the corrections in part 3, you're going to lose points obviously in part 3, but then those points from part 2 are lost permanently. Like, once you submit part 4, I'm not going to go back and put those points in part 2. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. So just make sure that those corrections are done. If you're not sure about my comments or something like that, then reach out to me and I'll clarify them. So that way you guys can, get all the points that you guys should get, or the ones that you earned if you make the corrections. I'm trying to think if I missed anything else. I think I kind of hit the highlights of what I was hoping to do. Are there any questions as far as the captions for the graphs and all that stuff? If you watched the library instruction, you should be able to get the answers to some of the questions that you have. If for any reason you still have questions about the details of APA, you're welcome to reach out to Ann over at the West Campus. Just be careful. She's not going to read your paper, from cover to cover, if you will, but she'll be able to answer like a quick question. Say, hey, I have this in-text citation. I'm not sure how to cite it in the references, and then that's a simple question that she can answer for you fairly quickly. So.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So I was trying to input my graphs into my Word document, and it kept saying that like they're not like connecting like the Excel spreadsheet and the Word document. Like it wouldn't let me just copy the graph in.
So let me open up a Word document here real quick. I haven't shown you how to do that. All right, so I'm going to do is I'm going to share my my Excel file. I'm just going to I'm going to do both the table and this graph that's here. So I'm usually I just kind of click on it and then just hit Control C. And then of course I'm going to have to share my Word document because this thing is done. And so when you're going to paste it, if you right click, it gives you several options. And so you have that first option, you have this option, which is basically you keep the formatting and the embedded workbook, like it says right there, into this particular graph. Now this one here, I wouldn't do that one, because what happens is if you change something in the raw data, let's say like for one of the other parts, you need to do something and you change a value, this is going to change in this document because they're going to be linked. So you don't want that one. And then you don't want the picture either. So what I suggest is either do the first or the second one. And if I do the second one, it's just really a straightforward graph. And I don't really worry about it not being, I don't worry about it being connected to my Excel file at all. As a matter of fact, I actually don't want it connected. One of the things that I haven't done, and I just want to real quick show you guys how to do this, is if I need to put the caption here, if I click on the bar graph and then I right click, down in this menu that pops up, it says insert caption. And so this is a figure, so it's going to be, theoretically it's the first one that I show. The new APA, it has to go above the graph. And so if I click OK, it's going to put this up on the top. Now, the problem with this is that there's several things. The first thing is that it's not a 12-point font. You can see up there that it's actually a 9-point font. And I'm going to be honest with you, I know it changed and I cannot remember if it's italicized or not, but this needs to be exactly the same as the rest of the text in your paper. And that's one thing that I've noticed when I graded part 2, is that there were different types of text. Now, there's really no reason for different types of text. And I know some of the reasons why students do that, but in this case, since I don't have a minimum amount of words or pages or anything like that, I just want you to describe everything that you have, whether it takes 20 pages or 30 pages. It doesn't really matter. So make sure that all of the text is the same. And so you notice that this text is actually a 9-point. I'm going to leave it italicized, but I'm not really sure if that's the right one. And so I'm just going to go up to a 12-point. The other thing is that the color is sort of grayish. And so I want to make sure that I change that to black, like the rest of my text. Also, if you're using like Times New Roman or something like that, you got to make sure that that's the same font throughout the paper. And then again, I'm not sure if it's a period, so I do apologize. But so this is the frequency. Let me see. Let me do it this way. Let's say race. I know I misspelled that. Just give me a second. And so I don't know if there's italicized or anything like that, but I will double check for you guys and send out a message. So that's how you do the caption. The details of the caption escape me right now because it's the newest edition, and I have not written a paper with the new edition. So usually when you write papers, you sort of memorize these little details, but I haven't done that with this particular edition, so I'm still learning. The other thing is if I do a table, I'm just going to go ahead and copy it from here, and then just you guys can see that from the Word document. If I copy this again, here I can do this, and I don't want that one because that's not APA. This is the one that's APA. Now you notice how it took some of the sort of crunched up some of the columns. And so I just stretched it out a little bit. That's all you have to do. Then if you click on it and you right click, you can insert caption. Now this is not a figure, this is a table. So you change this to table and then it'll be table 1. The nice thing about Word is that Word will keep the sequence. And so if I copy and paste another graph, and I choose figure, it's going to say figure 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. So it does that automatically for you. Again, you can see that it's not the same font. I want Times New Roman. I want it size 12. I want it to be, make sure it's black and not a grayish. And then this is, again, it's going to be the same thing, right? And so that's how you would do the tables and the graphs for any of the variables. I do want to show you something. I talked about how it does it in sequence. Hold on a second. I'm copying something from my Excel. And so I'm just going to go to a new page here. So if I want to paste this here, so this is another bar graph or another variable. And so if I insert the caption, notice how if I have table, it automatically says table 2. But if I do figure, which it is, it automatically does figure 2. And that's what I was talking about, the sequence. And so you don't have to go in there and number them. As long as you're doing it correctly as you go along, the numbers should be correct. I've seen students that put, table 37, and then suddenly you go back and there's no way they got 37 tables because they don't they don't have that many variables. So just double check it. If you do it the right way and do it step by step, the numbers should be fine. Just be aware that, if you have table 37, but you only, in reality, only have 10 tables, you're going to lose points because there are no 37 tables. So you just have to be careful with that. Is everybody okay with the captions? And did I answer your question about copying and pasting into the Word document? Did you see how I did it, or you need to see it again?
I saw how you did it, but on my computer, I have a Mac, and it doesn't allow me to, like, when I hit like Control C, it tells me like paste or paste special are my options, and I don't know what the paste special means, but if I just hit paste, it just tells me that it won't link. So I don't know if there's like another way to do it, or if I
No.
just screenshot it, or.
Let me ask you a question. When it says paste and it says without link, does it allow you to continue? Like, does it allow you to say okay, or move
Well,
on?
I like when I just there's like a paste button, and when I hit paste, like the little like rainbow thing, like the circle comes up, and it's like waiting for like 5 minutes, and then it says like, oh, like you can't it's not linking, and then I like hit continue or cancel, and it takes like 20 minutes and it won't load.
Okay.
Error.
Can I check it on your Mac computer real quick? All right, hold on a second. She has a Mac computer here. I'm going to.
Or can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you pressing Control C and then trying to do that?
Yeah, well I hit.
Because on
Hello?
the Mac you would have to do the command, like they have a little.
I do like the Command C and Command V, but I tried to do the Control C because that's another way where I can see the paste and the different options. But if I just do Command V, it does the same thing.
Have you tried just manually doing it on the like through the mouse, like right click and then copy?
Yes, like the Control right
and then
click.
the same thing.
Yep, it's all the same.
All right, I'm logging into a Mac right now. Logging into my Canvas here real quick. And I'm going to see.
Could it have something to do with the version of your Word application? Like, is it the newest one that the school offers?
Well, I purchased it on my own because I'm a dual enrollment student, so I just purchased it on my own, and then I like got it, and it was like the newest one because I got it like in 2019. So.
And
Yeah,
the Excel you're using is also yours?
Yes.
Yeah. I would say like maybe that's why, like if you're using the school Excel but a personal Word, like maybe it's like, oh, the accounts aren't matching, or like the subscriptions are different. But no, if they're all up to date, then I'm not sure what it could be.
Yeah, and like I can do the tables, but I can't do the graphs.
Okay, so I am going to just I'm gonna try doing it right now. I don't think I can access. Macs are just so weird. They really are. They're just. See, I don't know. Stuff just disappeared. How do I open this Word document? I just want a blank one. No, a Word document. Just click on that. Oh, I need that. All right, so sorry, this is so I'm going to try to do the race one. Hold on a second. I'm so lost. All right, so it's Command C, right, to copy? Is that right?
Yes, Command C to copy, or you can do Control and then right click, and then it will come up with copy as an option.
Okay. How do I get to the Word document? Let's reopen that. Oh, because I had to copy this. Oh, right there. Okay, there you go. All right, and then you were doing Command V.
Yeah, you could either do Command V or Control and then right click and hit paste. Either way, it's the same thing on my end.
So I just did it, and I just hit Command V, and it pasted it. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I just tried it with Command V and it's still not working.
Okay, no, that's fine. Let me see if I can get into this the Zoom meeting here, so I can share this particular screen. If it opens up. Oh wait, this is what you were saying that came up blank. This is what you were saying that it came up blank when you tried to do Zoom. I might be able to get in here. Right now. It's not letting me get into the Zoom meeting. All right, so if Sarah, if I make you a co-host, do you have are you on your computer right now? It's not opening.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think we figured this out. But I'm gonna go ahead and make you a co-host. Okay. So let me.
I think she can share her screen because mine has an option for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. Oh, it says host disabled attendee screen.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna make you a co-host. And go ahead and okay, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna close this system.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is I can like do tables and stuff, and then I can get these graphs, but these are pictures. These are images. But if I like try and do it like the way we're supposed to do it.
So if you do that one and hit Command C, and then go back to the Word document.
And then it says this thing, and then it will like tell me that it's like taking time to embed or something like that. It will pop up in like a minute.
My suggestion is stay away from Macs. No, they're actually really good. It's just they do have some quirks with them. They sort of like. Oh yeah, that's a that's a that's a pretty long time.
I know. And then I will do this, and then it says like and that this is what it says. It says Office is still updating linked or embedded objects.
Okay, so what was the other option that you had? You said that when you did it, it gave you an option to do linked or not linked. I think it was that you said.
Well, it says if I hit cancel, it's gonna take a little bit again.
Okay, that's fine.
But I'm not sure if it's my computer, but I wouldn't think it is because it's like the 2019 version of my computer. It's like the newer version of the MacBook Pro.
Okay.
I just got it in Jan or February. So
Does anyone else here have a Mac that has any idea of
I
what's?
have a Mac. I have a Mac and I haven't had any issues, but I think it might be your like version of Word because like even your Word looks different than mine. I don't know.
Oh,
So it might be her version of Word or maybe
Is
her.
there a way to turn off linking somehow? Like it seems like it's trying to keep it linked, but there might be some default setting. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah. I think she might be right. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I've never seen that happen before. Now, when you hit Command C and then you went to the Word document, you just press Command V, right? You didn't do anything else?
yeah, that's all I did.
Okay. Let me see if I can, let me research it a little bit to see if I can figure out something. If I know some other folks mentioned using the Office 365 version. I don't know how that's going to work because you already have Word. You already have Office in your computer, but maybe try that. But I think the Office 365 is the most updated version anyway, because it's sort of like online, and you have some licenses that'll go away once you're no longer a student and all these other things. But so I'm not sure if that's it. But let me
Have you tried a different computer, like emailing the attachments to yourself, but trying on another computer? I mean,
No,
I know it's a lot to do, but it's one way to see if it's like some settings on your specific programs in your computer.
I haven't tried it on a different computer.
do you have is there a PC? Does anybody have a PC where you live?
No, my
Or not?
school is all Mac, and
Oh.
my dad has a Mac, so it won't work.
Okay. Yeah, I would try a different computer if you can, like to see if you have the same issue. Because I did it. She has a MacBook Pro, and I did it there, and then I hit Control C, went to the Word document, Command C, and then went to the Word document, hit Command V, and it pasted automatically. It didn't ask me anything about linking or embedding or anything like that. So I don't know if it was Allison or Sarah, but it might be a setting somewhere.
It says like when I hit like paste special, which is like a different option, it gives me like, it says like paste as, and I can do like, I can select either a Microsoft Excel chart object, PDF picture, or Microsoft Office graphic object.
You don't want a PDF. You might be able to do the third option, but the issue with the third option is that if you copy an image, I'm trying to see something. Yeah, actually, if you copy an image, it'll still let you do the caption. So I think, yeah, I think.
Screenshot and then
Um,
that way, or
no, you don't want to screenshot it. Just copy it, and then when you go, I think you gave me 3 options that you just said. The third one was a graphic, and so I think that's an image. So try that to see if it works. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and look things up to see if I can find out if there's a particular setting that you have to either turn on or turn off or something like that. Right off the top, it sounds like it might be a security setting that you might have.
it allows me to do the picture option. It was originally set to Office object.
So it did let you do it or no?
I can do it as like a picture, but I can't do it as like copy and pasting it from Excel. I have to save it as a picture.
Okay, yeah. And so as long as when you put it in your Word document, So I'll show you here real quick. So this last one that I pasted as an image. And so I was still able to do the caption. So as long as you're able to do the caption, then you're fine. It doesn't matter if it's a picture or anything like that, because when it gets into the Word document and I start reading it, I don't really care if it's an image or it's linked to the Excel file, or it's with some other type of copying and pasting. The only thing I care about is that it looks like an APA table and that your captions are correct. So try that and let me know if you can do the caption on the image that you just pasted into the Word document.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or concerns about part 3?
Can I just interject something for her?
Yeah.
Just make sure when you're copying, you're clicked on the outside border. Maybe that's a part of the issue. I'm just trying to troubleshoot anything.
Yeah, I tried that. I've done it all the ways, but I'm not sure. I've been trying to do it for like a few days now, and I can't figure it out.
Okay, sorry.
You're good.
No, but like I said, if the image pasted, then as long as you can put the caption on there, you're good to go.
Yeah, it allows me to do captions. I just wanted to make sure that because I was doing it a different way, that it wasn't wrong.
No, that's fine. As long as everything's there, how you paste it and things like that, that's irrelevant. Because I'm looking for the information, and I'm looking how you describe the information that you have, basically telling the story of your data. That's all I'm interested in. Some of those other details really, I know they're significant for you guys because it's the work that you guys are doing, the details of the work. But when it's all said and done, those details to me, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm just looking to make sure that you put everything that's required and that it makes sense, basically. So, there any other questions or anything about part 3? Like I said, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wait, I have more than one question, so I want to ask you them after the class because I don't want to take up a lot of time because I feel like it will take a bit of time. So.
You can start now because I have until 8. So I don't know what time it was, 8:30 or something like that, I think. Unless somebody has like one question, and then you can go ahead and start asking a question because somebody else might have the same question if you want to do that.
I had a rather specific one.
Okay. Go ahead. Who was that? Was that you, Jad?
No, that's
Brett.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Brett. What was your
I
question?
didn't show that it was like showing that I was speaking. I had to do with the ogive. Like I was following along in the video, and it you got to the part where you hit data analysis and then histogram, and then you said it should like autofill like the values into the fields, but like it doesn't do that for me at all.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's like a specific thing that I like needed to like
yeah. To do, let me share the Excel file here. Quick. Let me go to age. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this one real quick. So when you're going to do, so hopefully first you did the histogram, right?
Yeah.
And so you go to back to data analysis, click on histogram. The assumption is that everything was going to be there. So I'm kind of going through this. Because the only thing that you have to do is you have to do just one extra thing to do the ogive. And that extra thing is to click on the cumulative percentage. So when you do the histogram, this is what you have. So if I click on cumulative percentage, the default setting is a new worksheet, which is exactly what I want. And if I click OK, this is what I get. So you have to make sure that you click on chart output and cumulative percentage in order for you to get this.
Oh, okay. So the only difference between like a regular histogram and like this one is you just have to hit the cumulative frequency button. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you'll just get the histogram. Unfortunately, when you do this, you still have to click on chart output and then cumulative percentage, and of course get rid of the bars, which is kind of is, asinine to be honest with you, because you're sort of doing work and then getting rid of it.
No, yeah.
But that's the way Excel does it. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That answered my question.
All right. Okay. So, Jad, you had some questions.
Yeah. So so you know how like the start of it is the EDA, and then all the way after the EDA, there's like descriptive statistics, or
You're putting those together.
yeah, that's why I kind of, well, I did them separate. But what I did was for every frequency distribution and every relative frequency distribution, I wrote a paragraph like about them.
Yeah, that's it.
And then another question was, do you have to write a paragraph for like, do you have to describe the histogram and the ogive?
You don't have to do a separate paragraph for them. You can just do it for the paragraph for that particular variable. So the quantitative variables, you're going to have the ogive, the histogram, and the frequency table. When you write the paragraph for, let's say, age, you're just going to be basically describing what age is, and it is a little bit redundant because you're sort of going to write what you sort of visualized. When you visualize, the visualization of your data, you're just going to write it. So it is redundant, but you're just describing it. So, include your table and then the paragraph, or include the paragraph and then the table. The thing that you don't want to do, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, is that you don't want to do it like a magazine layout, right? Magazine layout means that you have a graph and then you have text on the side of it and then text underneath it. That's not APA. So it either has to be above the text or below the text. Also, if you're referring to a table and it's table 3, make sure that you're writing table 3 displays this, figure 4 displays this. And then you can sort of talk about the variable. And you don't have to do it at the beginning, but somewhere in that paragraph, you have to reference either the table or the graph that you're doing. So, but going back to the original question, the EDA and the descriptive stats goes into one part. They all go together.
So because what I did them separate, but like in a way they're kind of the same. Because the sample paper, how it like describes each table, and then there's a own section for descriptive statistics. So I kind of did it like that. So do you want me to just delete or just keep it how it is?
No, if you already did it, you can leave it like that. That's fine.
And then for the table, so I did frequency distribution separate and the relative, like I did them separate because I did this like a few days ago. So I did them separate and I labeled them as each table. So you want me to keep it how it is, but it shows as like more tables, like the number.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to go back and you can include them in there. As long as you sort of address what's on them, even if it's briefly, then that should be okay.
And then one last question. So for the pattern, you know how towards the end of you have to write about a pattern and like your like data and end. Do you want me just to put it at the end of the end of everything, towards the end, kind of near the conclusion, but like before?
You can. So just remember that if you're talking about age and you see a pattern, like I think Sarah was the one that had 100% chose the same thing, and that's obviously a pattern. You can write about the pattern if you see it at the end of the paragraph for that particular variable, or if you have sort of like a general pattern that you notice in your data, then you can go ahead and write it in the conclusion section for either EDA or the well, it would be in descriptive stats. So you can write it in the conclusion for that if you want.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anything about part 3?
Yeah, I have a question for you. I just got out of work, so I'm sorry if you answered this prior.
That's okay.
I just wanted to verify everything that was being turned in tonight for part 3 and 4 together, just so I don't miss anything.
It's actually due Friday.
Okay.
Yeah,
it says on Canvas is what it said on my thing.
Really? Let me see. Hold on a second. Sure that I did change the date.
Yeah, but this was earlier too, before I went to work. This was at like 9 or 10 this morning.
Yeah, no, it says, yeah, it's October 16th, so it's Friday. So the
Okay.
Dad and I were just talking about this. So the EDA and the descriptive stats it's really your part 3. So what I did was I sort of merged the old part 3 with the old part 4 into one part, because a lot of students were just doing them together anyway.
Okay.
And so basically just, you can include your tables, graphs, and then write about that variable. For age, do it for age, for income, every single column that you have is a variable, and you need to have a subsection for each one of those columns.
So a paragraph for each one of. Now because I've written a good majority of it, and I was gonna finish the rest of it when I got home tonight. The last couple ones I was gonna do was gonna be my actual questions I asked. You don't want those yet, do you?
No, I do.
You only want the age and the gender and the place.
No, I
Oh,
want,
you want everything? Okay, then.
yeah,
That's fine.
I want all of your variables. Yeah, every single one. So if you go to your raw data and you have 10 columns, that's 10 variables. I want every single one of those variables.
Okay. And then you want the charts with them as well. I just wanted to make sure I have everything, because last time I forgot something, so I just don't want to get, the incorrect point if I did it.
Yeah, that's fine. So include everything, including extra stuff is not going to hurt you. Missing stuff is going to hurt you. Also, and I don't know if you missed this, if make sure that you make the corrections of part 2 in this part, because then when I grade it, I'll go back and put the points for part 2. But if you don't make the corrections now, then those points are lost forever. Like I won't go back. If you submit part 4, I'm not going to go back to part 2 to put in the points.
Okay, I got you.
Just make sure those corrections are done.
All right, I'll go through and look. Well, that helps that it's due now on Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's due Friday. I gave a couple extra days just so everybody feels, more comfortable. Any other questions, comments, or anything like that before we end the meeting?
I had
But
one. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, can you send me an email of the librarian that helped with the APA? I just want her to make sure that my APA is correct, just because this is the first time I ever used APA, so I'm still not like 100%. So if I sent her an email of my paper, do you think she could just scan through and make sure that I have the correct format for APA again?
Yeah, the only thing that she won't do is, like read it from cover to cover. She'll just quickly glance to see if there's anything that's.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that, because I'm so used to MLA that like everything was pretty much preset to it. So I just wanted to just like a second eye at it before I submit it.
All right, so the only thing, I can include her number there. I'm going to include her number in her email. I'm gonna update the meet your friendly librarian thing here, and I'm gonna include her email, and I'm gonna include her phone number. Now I don't know what her schedule is or anything like that, but no, that's not what I wanted. What is it? 727 816-3411, I think it said. Yeah. All right, so if you go to the library module and it says meet your friendly librarian, you're going to see the information that I just added there, which is her email and her phone number. Let me know if you can't find it. I don't know if you have access to a computer right now or not.
No, I'm driving. You're on my cell phone right now, so I'll check.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I figured you were, because I kind of heard it, but yeah. So just go back and double check it. Like I said, I included her email. Oh, it was already there. Hold on a second. I guess she put it in the other one, but not in this one. So let me have the format the same. All right, that looks much better than what I had done. All right, yeah, so that information is there. So if you go to Friendly Librarian and you click on it, it's the first video that pops up. It has her name, her title, the campus, her phone number, and then it has her email. So then you should be able to just go there and you know, get her information to send it to her if you want.
Alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Concerns about part 3? What we're going to do is on Monday, I'm going to finish off chapter 4, and then I'm going to get started on chapter 5. So just a heads up, because then part 3 would be done. And then part 4 basically pertains to 4.1 and 4.2, which we've already done in 4.3. So I did all 3 sections kind of together. But I'll go over that again on Monday since you guys are all concerned about part 3, and then we'll jump into chapter 5. Questions, comments before we end it?
I had one more question.
Yeah.
It was on like the relative frequency graph. How do you want us to do that? I was getting confused when watching the video on how to do it for the like gender and race and stuff like that.
So
And do we do cumulative and relative for both?
not for qualitative variables.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me show you how you can do both of them here kind of quickly. So if I highlight all 3 of them and I insert right to the first graph, you notice that I can, you know, barely see my relative frequency. But if I get rid of that legend, and then these bars, if I get rid of the bars, notice how it's switched to relative frequency. So that's probably the quickest way for you to do the relative frequency bar graph if you want. And if you want the frequency bar graph, you just highlight the first 2 columns.
Can we do both of those?
No, you don't have to do both. You can do either the relative or you can do the frequency, whichever one you want to do. You already have the table, so you can include the table if you want. If you include the table, then you can sort of hold off on the graphs. The graphs are going to be useful if you don't include them now when you do your final presentation, because you're going to create slides, you know, the PowerPoint and all that stuff. So I wouldn't get them done because you're going to use them eventually. You might not use them now, but you're going to use them for the final presentation.
Okay, and we don't have to do like the ones that look like a line graph kind of thing for the relative frequency?
No, you don't have to do that one. Just the OGI for age and income, that's it.
So it can just be like just showing how many participants. It doesn't have to be like both.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be both of them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Questions, comments before I end the meeting? I am available, so if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you can text me, send me a message, and I'll get back to you guys. If for any reason something happens that you need extra time to submit part 3, just send me a message. I don't need details or anything like that. You just say, hey, can I have a few extra days, and that'll be fine. So. All right, so I'm going to end the meeting now and have a good rest of the week, good weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.